This is Overtime. I'm Carsen. This is Matt. Today we're going to be going back to Adam Sandler and we're going to be looking at the football movie Waterboy. So Waterboy is really a story, a lot like our last episode with bench warmers. That it's this kind of low, picked on person that starts to become the star. And it's Adam Sandler as a water boy, and he's kind of picked on by the players and not really treated with a lot of respect or acted like he's like a legend player or anything. And as they go on, it kind of hits them that he's actually very good at football in the way that he has a lot of strength and he can fuel his rage to hit other players. And that's what makes him such a great player, is that he's able to fuel his rage. And that's basically what the movie is about, is the idea that he can internalize his rage and then win the football team a championship. So in the film Waterboy, Adam Sandler also playing the main role in Waterboy. He is trained by many greats in the NFL. Dan Marino is one, Lawrence Taylor, and Bill Romanowski. And they all play different positions, so this is huge. In the film The Waterboy, his main role is outside linebacker. And this is big because not one of them played outside linebacker. But I feel like this is what really gets his role the best, is because he got to study every other role, so he knew what those roles were, so he could fit his role even better. I also think that learning with Dan Marino, who is also one of the best quarterbacks of all time, Bill Romanowski is one of the best kickers of all time, and Lawrence Taylor is also one of the best outside backers of all time, is currently it's one of the best things you can do, is learn from the actual source and then put it towards that film. That's just why this film is very realistic in that factor. So now we're going to start looking at some specific scenes from the film. Catch you guys on the field. So we're here at the Ames Field football field in Jordan, Minnesota, and it's really just a famed field. And just to give some background on this field, it was donated by Dick Ames in 2015. It's home to our track, boys and girls soccer, and football team, and it's used pretty much every day here in Jordan.
Best of luck to you on an upcoming play.
I'll be playing with your mama tonight.
62.
So as we can see in this clip, we have Bobby writing down somebody's number or remembering it, and he's just really soaking in his number, ultimately to find him and seek him out later in the film and get his number down to really just eliminate him, hurt him, or put him in his place. This is really realistic because it actually happens a lot more than you think. In high school football, it happens. In my personal high school career, it's happened where somebody has really ticked me off, sent me over the top, and I'm just I got your number, But it also can be taken out of context and really taken too far. It kind of happened in the Saints scandal. The New Orleans Saints in 2010 actually had a hit program where they would take their players and reward them a certain amount of money if they took out some players and did cheap shots, going for the ankles, the knees, the quarterback's arms, anything to take them out of the game to get them the advantage. But in this film, they don't do that. What they do is they just really try and punish the person that Bobby's going up against to make him better than anybody else.
What's he calling? Time out! Oh, man. What are you doing?
Here, this is for you. Enjoy.
So in this scene we see here, Bobby takes a timeout for the team and he runs and he gets a glass of water for the ref and really just shows the ref a lot of respect. And this is actually really realistic because you want to win the ref's approval. The ref is very important in the game in that he gets to decide whether he calls plays, doesn't call plays, and can give your team a huge advantage. And it can really decide whether you win or lose a game. If you have a bad ref, it is the ultimate
just failure that it's like you will lose that game. But if you can get a ref on your side and actually get him to call plays against the other team, it's going to help you a lot in the long run. So what Bobby's really doing is he's just winning over the favor of this ref, and it's probably going to help them win this game.
Stop it! You're
So in this clip, we see Bobby just kind of being crazy and almost scaring the opposing team. This is really realistic. It happens in high school, happens in college, happens in the NFL. It happens all the time in high school. You got people that think they're good and they'll try and scare you, and they're not. You got it in college. You got people that are probably going to make it to the NFL trying to scare you, and then you got people like Ray Lewis who are absolutely crazy. And they really are just kind of psychopaths. I mean, it is a really good, useful strategy, and it really helps because you almost strike fear into the people that you are playing, and they just don't really know what's going on in your head, and you scare them. It's all a mental game. And then I like how they bring this into it. It's not just, they don't just portray it as just football. They extend it outwards, and they just make it so that you as the audience see that it's more than just a game. It's also a mental game.
I can't play football.
Foosball? You playing the foosball behind my back?
So in this scene we see here, Bobby's mom is very adamant that he does not play football, and it's really against the entire idea of him playing a sport. Well, this is very relatable to me because during my middle school and high school year, I wanted to play football, but my mom didn't really want me to, and for the same reasons Bobby is, they're like, football is very injury prone, and it's a very violent and dangerous sport, and both Bobby's mom and my mom saw that and didn't want it for their kids. So I think that's what really makes this movie authentic, is it goes beyond the aspects of football rules and other things, and it really takes football as an entire concept that people think it's very violent and dangerous, and kind of reflects that in the film.
What's the matter with you, boy? You too stupid to do what your coach tells you?
So in this clip, we see Bobby kind of unlock his inner rage, and just like every time he sees the quarterback, he pictures the quarterback as a different person, or like any of the O linemen, he pictures them as a different person. And this is like really realistic because a lot of coaches in any level just tell you to really just like unlock that inner rage, unlock that inner like demon in you to really push out and like help you power through. And I really like that they did this because this just shows character in Bobby, and it just shows that he really wants to win and get that quarterback.
Boy, check this out.
So as we can see in this scene, and kind of like the beginning part of this film, a lot of the older and veteran players are kind of picking on Bobby and just doing things like tease him, kind of make fun of him. And this is actually known as hazing, and it's a very common trend in college and kind of varsity sports that if you're this newcomer, freshman, kind of sort, just coming in, even a transfer student, you have to gain the respect of your peers, and the way they do this is through hazing, and you kind of have to be able to take this being made fun of or being picked on because it's a part of tradition. It's really a part of what football and other sports have in their traditions, is just messing with the new person. So this is actually really realistic, and I'm really happy that they put this in the film. So today we're joined with Emilio Velishek, and Emilio is actually going D3 at SJU for football, one of the most highly ranked D3 colleges out there. So Emilio, I understand you have your own episode on this.
Yes, I do. So me and my partner, Carsen Schoenbauer, have our own podcast called In the Backfield. We give a little rundown of week to week in the NFL, and we also give fantasy news. And we also give trade updates and before the preseason starts.
So obviously we can kind of see in this scene, they're getting wrecked, they're getting all shredded, and then Bobby comes in and he's just like the superstar. So what can you really say about their team's technique and Bobby's technique?
So what I saw from the clip is that none of them are willing to tackle. A lot of them are getting smacked or tackling with their heads, and that can lead to a lot of, like, you can get paralyzed from it, one, or you can get badly hurt. Most of what you want to do to prevent that is getting in a lower stance and being willing to be a willing tackler and tackle at the legs. But I saw when Bobby came in that he was getting lower, he was hitting him at the body, and he was willing to put his body on the line.
I also saw that Bobby, a lot of times when he tackles, he likes to dive at his opponent. So what do you think about that? How common is that in actual football?
If you are a smaller player, like compared to your competition, a lot of people will try to ankle bite you, and it's pretty much cutting your legs off, making the tackle a lot easier.
Well, thanks for coming on the show, Emilio. It was a pleasure having you, and really enjoyed the insight.
Thank you for having me.
We also wanted to plug in Emilio's podcast with him and Carsen Schoenbauer in the backfield, and that's going to be on JSS Creative Communications, anywhere you get your podcasts.
Car drops back. Looks like a screen pass.
So the overall negative takeaways of this film is that it's really just unlikely that a Waterboy would ever see time on the field or even get a shot to be on the field. They're a Waterboy for a reason. They're just not physically or mentally there to be playing the sport. And then we also got how the film, it kind of just repeats itself after around the hour mark. Just keeps doing the same thing. I mean, it's pretty cool at the end when they win the championship, but ultimately it just repeats itself, and then it's unreal that a Waterboy would get on the field.
So the overall positive takeaways that we can get from this film is that it does a really good job with keeping all the rules and all of that in place. And what I also like that they did really good is it goes outside of the football experience and really brings like the student athlete part into it. That Bobby, because he is a college athlete, he needs to be taking these college classes. So I really like that they included that. Along with this, they really did a good job putting the mental aspects of football in there. And most of the movie is actually Bobby's mental process and not much of the physical, which is really interesting and keeps this movie really good. So for a rating on the realism, I'm going to give it a 8 out of 10 because there are a lot of aspects that pertain to football and are very true in its nature. But when you really dive deep into it, it's not as realistic as it could get.
And I'd give it a 9 out of 10 on the realism part, simply because he unlocks his inner rage when he tries to go for the quarterback. He's doing all these moves that are very football-like, and he also got trained by all these football stars.
For an overall rating, I'm going to keep it at an 8 out of 10 because it kind of got repetitive towards the end, that it's the same idea of him getting angry and tackling the person, and he doesn't really have a lot of conflict with that.
And then I'd give it a solid 9 out of 10. I just like football. It's a good film, but it does get repetitive. That's where I'm going to take the 1 away. Also, be sure to drop down below in the comments what your rating would be on this film.
We want to thank you guys so much for watching. This is our 5th and final episode. So we just want to thank you, the viewer, for really standing by us and just keeping up with our content. We appreciate it.
And be sure to like and subscribe to JHS Creative Communications on YouTube. Thank you guys. Peace out.